Welcome to the channel. Considering that Colleen Ballinger just came back to YouTube, and considering that I didn't even have a YouTube station until 2 months ago, I'd like to go ahead and take the opportunity now to give my thoughts on the Colleen Ballinger situation, specifically from the perspective of a medical professional and a mandated reporter. And I'm going to go ahead and give you some definitions and the obligations of what a mandated reporter is in just a second. But like specifically in this video, I just want to make the point that if any of the young adults in this situation had come to me as minors and told me what was going on with them or what was going on in the fandom, I 100% would have been legally obligated as a mandated reporter to report that to the appropriate state agencies so they could investigate the situation. That's how serious some of these events and these incidents were. I also want to say too, my only intent in making this video is to kind of give validity to some of the people who have already spoken out. They've gotten a lot of harassment and negativity and backlash from speaking out. At this point, I don't think they're ever going to get the apologies that I don't even know that they're hoping for apologies, but I don't think they're going to get them. I don't think that they're going to get the investigations probably that they were hoping for. But as a medical professional and as a mandated reporter, I'm hoping that maybe I could just give them some validity to their stories and to say that yes, these things were very serious and you were absolutely correct in coming forward and bringing this culture to our attention, because it is extremely toxic. In that spirit, I will never monetize this video unless I could donate the proceeds directly to charity. If you'd like to test me on that, you can go ahead and like and subscribe. I promise, even if this gets 30 million views, I will never personally profit from it. And having said that, I'd like to issue a challenge to Colleen Ballinger for her to take the money that she made from the toxic gossip train video, her apology video, the ukulele video. I would challenge her to take the money from that and to donate it to charity. If she would like to send a gesture out to the internet that she, is sorry, or that she wants to take some type of accountability, then I suggest she put her money where her mouth is and she just takes the money from that video that she apparently is so embarrassed of. Take the money and just donate it towards something good. And that is my challenge. That's my challenge to her. Okay, so now moving forward with this, I want to go ahead and just give you some definitions of what a mandated reporter is. Okay, so here I have a fact sheet of mandated reporters of child abuse and neglect. So here it's just saying that in the United States, each state has provisions and procedures for requiring certain individuals to report known or suspected instances of child abuse and neglect. Some of those people are social workers, teachers, principals, and other school personnel, physicians, nurses, and other healthcare workers, counselors, therapists, and other mental health professionals, child care providers, medical examiners or coroners, and law enforcement officials. Okay, now this part is important. This is the standards for making a report. I'm not going to read all of it. It says here, typically, a report must be made when the reporter, in his or her official capacity, suspects or has a reason to believe that a child has been abused or neglected. Another frequently used standard is the requirement to report in situations in which the reporter has knowledge of or observes a child being subjected to conditions that would reasonably result in harm to the child. Okay, and then I just want to read one other portion that says, mandatory reporters are required to report the facts and circumstances that led them to suspect that a child has been abused or neglected. They do not have the burden of providing proof that abuse or neglect has occurred. Okay, so now that we've defined a mandated reporter, I just want to clarify some points on that. So mandated reporters are legally required, if they suspect child abuse, to report that to the appropriate state agencies. And no, Mandated reporters are not required to investigate. We're not required to find evidence. If we simply suspect abuse or we believe a child is in a situation that could result in their danger, we are 100% required by law to report that so that somebody who's had the appropriate training can investigate that situation for themselves and they can determine if that child is in danger. Having said that, I want you to go ahead and imagine. I had to write this down. Like, these are all the incidents that have gone on in the Colleen Ballinger situation that I'm aware of. Okay, now I want you to imagine that a minor has come into me while I'm at work and I'm giving an assessment on them, and I am just asking about their social life. And so they begin to tell me a story about their adult friend who's a celebrity, and they tell me this information. Say their friend's an adult celebrity. She's been befriending children online. She has one-on-one chats with minors. She has group chats with minors. She is enabling and facilitating her friends and family to talk to minors and have group chats with minors. She meets with children in real life, and even in a hotel room or a hotel flat, she has met 2 minors while her husband was there. During the contents of their conversation, the adult has sent the children nudes and nude pictures of another woman in an attempt to make fun of her body. Other things they have discussed are her sex life and her divorce with her husband. She asked one child if he was a virgin. She asked what their favorite sexual positions were. She joked that one of the children should take a picture of their butt. She was telling kids to keep secrets from their families. She was sending the children gifts, including lingerie. Also, just assume that the child went on to say that this person is in the performing arts, and part of their performance is to call children up on their stage and lay them on their backs and have them put their legs in the air, and the adult basically grabs them by their ankles or by their shoes and spreads their legs apart and basically makes a fart joke from it. But this basically does include a minor going up on stage, laying flat on their back and having their legs spread apart by another adult. Also, during the performances, she has young males come up on the stage and she pretends like she's going on a date with them. And at one point, she takes cheese puffs and she shoves them down her pants, and she asks the young child, one of them who was age 9, to reach into her pants and get some of the cheese balls. And they do. Okay, so now that I've read all the incidents that have gone on in the fandom, some of those have been proven, some of those they have evidence for, some of them not, but that's just everything that has come up with the incidents of the fandom. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the criteria of what grooming actually is and think of what I just read off in that list, and then take a look at this. Okay, so right now we're looking at a fact sheet of CCA Grooming Digital. And what we're looking at is what are some of the red flags that someone is grooming. Now, keep in mind the list that I just read as I read these off. Here's one: targeting a specific individual or type of individual, particularly age, gender, appearance, etc. Showing favoritism or special treatment to someone. Building trust with families and communities to gain increased access to the child or young adult. Building trust with a child or young adult, including positioning themselves as a particularly strong and safe presence in that person's life, sometimes focused on a perceived vulnerability or need. Finding excess time to spend alone with the child or young adult. Isolating a child or young adult from caretakers, peers, or friends. Requesting that the child or young adult keeps secrets from other caregivers and friends. Beginning to erode physical boundaries through unnecessary physical contact with the child or young adult, back pats or massaging, putting an arm around them, etc., etc. Exposing the child or young adult to sexual and or age inappropriate conversations, media, and behaviors. Giving gifts to the child or young adult without appropriate occasion for doing so. Frequent contact with the child or young adult via social media or text, expressing unusual interest in the youth's sexual development, such as comments on the body during puberty, emotionally identifying with the youth, including excessive interest or engagement in children's media, or spending an excessive amount of time around youth. Okay. So you can see here, I mean, she fits the criteria for some of these other red flags in here, but especially these final 3. exposing the child or young adult to sexual and or age inappropriate conversations, media, and behaviors. So she was asking children if they were virgins, what their favorite sexual positions are. She sent nude pictures to them, making fun of somebody, but still, they were nude pictures. Giving gifts to a child or young adult. She gave lingerie to one of the children. I don't even know if I read that one off, but she's sending gifts to these children, including she sent one of them lingerie. She has frequent contact with a child or young adult via social media or text. She was definitely doing that with Adam McIntyre, expressing unusual interest in the youth's sexual development, such as comments on their body or during puberty. I mean, some of the things that she said could potentially qualify for this. And then, excessive interest or engagement in children's media or spending an excessive amount of time around youth. I mean, that she definitely qualifies for that. So, okay, so those are those red flags right there, which she definitely qualifies. I would like to go ahead and just say too, there are other sources that you can look for this. I'm just going to show you two real quick. So this is the Rain website, RAINN, and you can go ahead and they have a whole post here on grooming, know the warning signs, and you can see here, that they've also listed very similar criteria that I've just read for you. One of the things that I think is of particular interest in this section is the desensitization of touch and discussion of sexual topics. I mean, this is essentially all Colleen Ballinger did as Miranda sings, was constantly talk about sexually inappropriate things. She basically had a career based on perverted jokes and of pedophilic satire, essentially. And the strangest thing about it is that her target audience, like I could see that maybe adults who had a very dark humor might find that to be funny, but I think the most concerning thing is that her audience was children. And if you're looking for more resources, another site that you can go to is the Center for Child Protection, and you can see here they have the 6 stages of grooming, and they have more information for you in case you're interested. So having said that and having shown you that, I just want to go ahead and say that, yes, my concern in this situation would be that if a minor came to me and gave me all those examples of what was going on in the Colleen fandom, I would definitely be concerned that those children were being groomed in that situation. But aside from that, even if I wasn't worried about them being groomed, I just want to show you examples, video clips, messages of things that were going on in the fandom. Now, granted, some of these things may have been doctored, like the messages, but just take a look at these and tell me what you think. And for all the mandated reporters out there, tell me, what would you do with this information? Let's just go ahead and pull some of this up. Okay, this video here that I just pulled up, which was in a group chat, I guess, for Colleen's weenies, it consisted mostly of 13 and 17-year-olds. And this is the video that she posted for them. Okay, apparently in this video, she was challenging them to go out and get tampons and reenact the scenario. I don't know what she was thinking. She was an adult in this situation talking to minors. Okay, this right here are just some screenshots of some of the messages that were being exchanged. So this is Colleen Ballinger. She's saying, Adam, you need questions for your Q&A. And then she goes on to say there's another question here from Colleen Ballinger. Are you a virgin? So she's again saying this to a minor. He also goes on to say that she asked him what his favorite sexual position was. Okay, down here is an exchange where Adam McIntyre says, my ass looks so good today, y'all. And then some other people in the chat commented, but Colleen Ballinger comes in and says, pics, Adam. As she's asking this child to send pictures of his butt. Okay, so here we have an example of the type of humor that Colleen Ballinger has. And this is saying how to cuddle. And there's a man, laying on top of Colleen Ballinger, and it just says the uncle. And this is very much her type of humor, where she just basically has this humor that she bases off of pedophile behaviors. And these are some tweets that she sent out. And it's from Miranda Sings, and it's like, will you cuddle with me, please? And then it says, we aren't married, and you aren't a dog or my uncle, so no. So it's more like pedophile humor. So here's another tweet that she sent out. It's STFU. I think we all know what that means, but she's trying to imply the meaning of it is suck the fun uncle. So again, using some type of strange pedophile humor. Okay, so down here, I believe that this is a screenshot from Reddit, and I don't know how true this is or not. Apparently, it's been deleted since then, but this is the fear of what is actually going on with the Miranda sayings or Colleen Ballinger humor. So this is an exchange that happened where someone's saying, "I bought tickets back when I was still a fan and can't even get someone to buy mine," and then somebody else is coming in and saying, "Can I ask why you're no longer a fan? Did I miss something?" Okay, and so basically down here, she's replying, the Colleen and Miranda jokes she had about Uncle Jim also made me view the relationship I had with both my father and uncle as normal. I'm not blaming Colleen for what happened to me, but Miranda normalized it and it made me stay quiet for quite a long time. Now, that right there is just the example of the fear that Colleen is creating with this culture and with her humor, that essentially she is normalizing pedophilic behaviors and making it easier for children to be taken advantage of. Because she may not have the intent of doing these behaviors and ever following through and harming children. But the problem with that is that she makes it easier for other people to do that by normalizing the behavior in the first place. And that is arguably the danger of her humor. And here you can see this is a child who's reaching into her pants to get some cheese balls. I've actually seen examples of this where the cheese balls were far more down in her pants. Okay, and then we have here, this is whenever she was visiting a niece of hers, and she thought it would be funny to title the videos like this. So this is her niece over here who appears to be extremely, extremely young, and she titled this Girl on Girl Action Xmas Vlog 2 from 2010. Okay, so this is her niece, and she's titling this Girl on Girl Action. You know the types of people who are going to be searching those terms and coming across this child's picture. Then I'm looking at this one here, and the title is Sexy Pole Dancer. Again, that's her family. Maybe they have a different humor in that family. Who am I to judge? But I think I would be disowned. This right here is a picture of a 13-year-old girl who was called on stage for the yoga challenge. So this 13-year-old girl was laid on her back. Miranda stood above her, spread her legs. These two men in the background are watching, and that is this picture. So, trigger warning, I'm about to show the video of Becky and what went on in her situation. I debated showing this or not, but I did want people to see just how completely inappropriate it was for her to be in the position that she was. I mean, one, just first of all, regardless of what she was wearing, but especially because of what she was wearing, this was just extremely, extremely, I mean, bad judgment to say the least. Okay, so that right there, like Miranda basically makes a fart joke out of this. And then you can see like Becky standing up, like you saw her outfit right there. And quite frankly, like Miranda had no ability to know whenever she got called up on stage if she was wearing like spandex shorts or not. Now, Becky was saying she was wearing spandex shorts in this, but I mean, to me, I would have thought that that was her underwear. And there's no way in the world, one, I wouldn't have been putting minors on their back like that and spreading their legs, but especially in an outfit like this. And you can't tell me that she did not know what she was doing. I absolutely would have reported this. Next up are messages that were exchanged between Trent Ballinger and Oliver. Trent Ballinger is Colleen Ballinger's brother, and he was 33 at the time that he sent these messages, and Oliver was 13 years old. So I'm not going to read all these messages. You can go find these on Reddit for yourself. You can just see here, some of them are, just don't share our conversation with anyone. Anything we talk about stays between you and I. That's from Trent. Now, Oliver, the 13-year-old, is like, oh, okay, don't worry. And Trent is saying thanks. So here, Trent is acknowledging, I'm told not to talk to people under 18. I do so just to spread positivity. So yeah. And Oliver's basically just saying, "Oh, I don't see anything wrong with talking to people that are under 18 who said that. You really do spread positivity, and I love it." There's that exchange. Okay, here's an exchange where basically Oliver's just saying that he thinks he's bisexual, and Trent is kind of questioning that. That continues in these next messages, and Trent is asking Oliver how old they are, and they specifically say they are 13 years old. Here's a Twitter exchange where Oliver is basically saying they might take a break from Twitter. Trent saying that it hurts. They kind of go back and forth with that. This seems to be an exchange where Trent is asking Oliver if he's had sex with one of his friends. And they kind of go back and forth about that. But again, just keep in mind that this is a 33-year-old man and a 13-year-old. Here's another exchange where Trent is basically saying, "How do you look now?" And Oliver is saying, like, "What do I look like right now?" And it looks like Oliver sent a picture, but they cut it off, from this Reddit correspondence. And here's a message where Trent very specifically says, "I just wanted a special video of you." I do just want to point out something in regard to the Trent and Oliver situation. And this isn't to defend Trent, but just like full disclosure, I do want to say that he apparently was born with CMV, which is cytomegalovirus. And when that happens, sometimes it can lead to developmental delays. Okay, a possible disability is associated with congenital CMV, which he apparently had, is deafness, blindness, physical and motor impairment, seizure disorder, developmental differences, and learning delays. Having said that, that's not going to affect how Oliver felt about the situation. That's not going to affect the fact that the messages were still wrong. But I would like more information on what exactly Trent's capabilities are for understanding the consequences of what he's actually done. I just think it would be good for at least Oliver in this situation if he knew if there were some developmental delays that had gone on with Trent, so that he could decide for himself whether that is something that he needs to factor into how he feels about the situation. But I just think, Oliver should have all of the information in the situation for his own recovery and his own healing. Okay, and that's basically everything that I wanted to go over in this particular video, and hopefully it gave some validity to the people who have come out and spoken out against Colleen Ballinger. Hopefully other mandated reporters will give their input on this based off of what you've seen in this video. Let me know if you would have reported this or not. If this is something that you would have reported, feel free to leave me comments below, or also feel free to go over to Adam or Becky or Oliver's channels and show them support and let them know that as a mandated reporter, you would have supported them and you would have tried to protect them by reporting their situation so that they could be investigated. And just one more side note that I do have for people like JoJo Siwa who are upset about the fact that Colleen Ballinger was being compared to a groomer. I have something very simple to say to counter that. If you do not want to be compared to a groomer, then do not act and behave exactly like a groomer would behave, minus the fact that you're just not physically or sexually hurting children in the end. I actually find it extremely surprising in this situation whenever I look at all the incidences and criteria of things that have happened. I'm surprised, honestly, that there hasn't been any children coming forward reporting physical or sexual abuse, because this environment 100%, was an environment where you would expect on paper, textbook, for a child to have been abused. So, all I would say to that, it's very easy as an adult not to have humor that's like pedophilic satire. It's very easy not to do that as an adult, especially when you're around children or children are your audience. It's very easy not to do that. It's very easy not to have behaviors like a groomer. It's very easier not to go on your computer and talk to minors one-on-one or individual chats. It's very easy not to send naked pictures of somebody else to other adults, first of all, much less to children. It is very easy to control yourself and not do that. It is very easy as an adult not to send lingerie to a child. It's very easy not to ask children, like whether or not they're virgins or not. It's easy not to ask a child what their favorite sexual position is. I mean, those are easy things to do. So if your friend finds himself in a position where they're being accused of these things or associated with these things, then, my advice would be to encourage your friend not to do things that are exactly like a child offender would do, minus the actual, intent. I mean, this situation is just, it's so disturbing, but it's also so fascinating in a way because all of the behaviors in this situation, like when you write them down, I mean, you would definitely think that these were grooming behaviors and that potentially a child was hurt in this situation. And it's kind of mind-boggling that that didn't happen. But again, thank you to the people who came out and spoke out against this situation and made us all aware of it. Because had this situation continued, if there had been one adult in this situation who followed through with hurting children, I mean, the amount of children that they would have had access to is just positively devastating. So, for those who did speak out, I'm so sorry for all the harassment that they've gone through, but they will never be able to know how many children they saved from potentially being abused, and they will never get to know that. But based off of what I see on paper, it's like there's every reason to believe or suspect that something very bad would have come from this situation eventually, if it didn't already. There may be some children sitting on some information that they're just not ready to share. And if that's the case, then, I hope that those children find some adults that they trust to reach out to and confide in, and hopefully they can go from there. So for now, that's all I have for this video. Thank you for joining me. And if I have any more on this topic, I will post it at a later time. Thank you.